If you have a vision or a passion, dream, go for it. Do not let anybody stand in your way, because you will make a difference in somebody's life.
Welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast. It's your girl, Kate Bryan. The One Girl Revolution podcast highlights the stories of everyday women who are changing the world through their lives. Every week, I talk to inspiring women and girls who are doing something incredible to make a difference in the world. While we're going to be doing things a little bit differently this year, we're going to continue to share a story every single week. So we're going to have different women on to share their inspiring stories, but we also want to have some commentary. We want to talk about things. So if there's something you want to hear about, let us know. You can message us, email us. We want this podcast to continue to grow and evolve, and we're so grateful that you listen. So if there's anything you want to hear, let us know. If there's something you like or don't like or anything else under the sun, let us know. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at One Girl Revo. That's the number One Girl REVO, or on YouTube at One Girl Revolution. You can find all of our stories, the podcast, everything else that One Girl Revolution is up to on our website. And you can also email us through the website as well. So check us out, onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com. Today, we're going to talk about animal rescue. We're obviously going to talk about animal rescue with our guest today, Jennifer Rosen, who's amazing. I can't wait for you to hear this episode. But I have some thoughts that I'd like to share. During COVID, unfortunately, so many people couldn't care for their animals and they were really struggling. So a lot of people had to get rid of their animals or simply abandon them. I know in Detroit, there were so many animals that were found in abandoned houses, running down the streets, running down freeways, absolutely heartbreaking. But I had an instance where I saw a dog running down the freeway and it's just heartbreaking. So people are just letting their animals go. They can't care for them. They can't pay for them. So they just let them go. There also were so many instances where people would just go to an animal rescue and drop their animal off there, Humane Society or any of the local ones. But one of the coolest things that happened here in Detroit, so many people were getting rid of their animals. Animal rescues, animal shelters were filling up. And I think that was happening across the country. It's heartbreaking. I feel so bad for these poor animals. But one of the coolest things is people started stepping up. They were fostering all the animals. They were adopting them. And shelters and animal rescues went from being packed to the brim to being completely empty, which is amazing. That was one of my favorite things. Whenever I would see a news story about animal shelters being completely empty, I felt like that was such a success. And these animal rescues, they're working day in and day out, all hours of the night, going out in the cold, finding these animals. And it must have been so difficult for them to see all of these animals who were suffering and being let go. But then on the flip side, it was so beautiful to see these rescues be completely emptied. And I have a lot of friends who volunteer at local animal rescues or shelters. I have a friend here in Detroit that volunteers to take dogs for walks and also fosters animals. And so I want to encourage you, anybody who's listening, there are so many things that we can do, right? Like you can adopt a dog, you can adopt a cat, whatever your animal is. I really want a pet pig. I'm waiting for a pet pig to show up at an animal rescue, and I feel like that will be the day that I know that I'm supposed to get a pet pig because I really want one. They're so smart. Don't even get me started. I love them so much. But there are so many things that we can do. Maybe you're not called to that. Maybe you're not supposed to adopt an animal, or it's a big responsibility and you don't have the ability to, but you can also just go volunteer or call an animal rescue and find out what they need. Do they need dog food? Do they need whatever, leashes, collars, any of the different things? We all can make a difference. And there are so many animals in our own community that need support. And I want to encourage everybody who's listening, don't buy animals, rescue them. There are so many beautiful animals that need to be rescued. They just need a good home and they just need somebody to believe in them and to give them a safe space to land. We're going to talk about this and so much more with our guest today, Jennifer Rosen. She is the founder of the animal rescue organization, Bullies and Buddies. You might even hear her pup snoring at certain points during this interview. It was so freaking cute. Bullies and Buddies is absolutely incredible, and I'm really excited to share Jennifer's story with you and the incredible work of Bullies and Buddies. So without further ado, here's Jennifer.
Jennifer, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Hi, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you on. I know that we've been trying to make this happen for a little while, but I can't wait to share your story and your incredible work with our listeners. But before we get into you and your story, I want to ask you, who's a woman in your life that is a One Girl Revolution, somebody that's inspired you in your life? And can you tell me a little bit about her?
So Tia Torres and with Pitbull and Parolees, I just remember when we first had our pity. And mind you, again, this is like totally before any type of rescue, but I was so enamored just by, 150 pit bulls that she had at her sanctuary, and just seeing her with the dogs and on her rescue missions. And I mean, I did not miss a beat. I knew like every episode. I knew everybody involved. It was just like, oh my God. And so I kind of thought to myself, gosh, that would be really cool, but that's a lot of work. Like, I just don't know that I could do that. You know what I mean? Or even find people that I could trust and all this and that. But she inspired me so much. And I learned a lot from her about the breed, because honestly, I didn't know very much. And it was incredible, to be honest. I was just very, 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 I mean, I can't even express it enough. It's crazy. Like, I remember my husband saying, hello, I'm here. And we would watch it together. But I mean, I would watch episode over episode, like the same episode.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yes.
And her whole team is too. So for people that are listening, if you haven't seen Pitbulls and Parolees, it's such a great show. And I actually was reading a story about her the other day that they're opening up a new sanctuary in And I think that they're going to staff the entire sanctuary with women. So she's definitely on my, I have my eye on her.
But I know that she is one woman that has just, oh my God, like, empower, is that the word? Empower. I mean, just has completely empowered me.
Yes.
And again, at that point in my life, in the beginning, I wasn't even where I am now, but it was just incredible. And I give her so much credit, because she's been through a lot to get to where she is now. And she didn't let anybody stop her, even with all the madness out here. So she's
amazing. I love her and I love you. And I can't wait to talk all about your work, because people are getting a little teaser for what you do
together.
It's true. It's true.
And each other.
Right. And empowered women empower women, as that popular saying goes. So before we get into your work, I'd love to rewind and just talk about your early life a little bit, because I'm always so intrigued by, how people were raised and different things that happen in their life that maybe kind of set them on the trajectory that they are now, or kind of laid the groundwork, the foundation for where they are now. So can you talk just a little bit about who you are, where you were raised, and a little bit about your early life?
Yes. So mine's a little different. I was raised in Palos Verdes. And, my family was very much into cats. So I was raised with cats. And I loved them dearly, but that's all I knew. And we were always so into sports and stuff like that. My sister was doing dance, so we were always gone. And so I remember I wanted a dog, and I didn't care what kind of dog, but I wanted a dog, because a lot of my friends had dogs. And, they had more of the golden retrievers, or just like mutts, and again, not so much rescue. You know what I mean? It was a lot of these breeds know. I had no idea. I was clueless then. But our cats were rescues. They were ones that were, just ended up in the backyard. So we were definitely that family that would feed, ferals that would come, or, my mom would say, we got to go get them spayed because we had a litter of kittens at one point, and, we found them all homes. But, again, none of that. I mean, we just were not knowledgeable about that. So, anyways, going back to cats. So that was where that's what I loved at that point, and they were my buddies. And that was it. We didn't really. I mean, again, dogs were a big no because we were just so busy. But at least I look back now, and it's such a commitment. So I'm glad my parents did not allow us to have a dog, because it really, I mean, you got to have the time and the resources. I mean, just everything. So that's it. I was definitely very much into my sports.
And then did your love for cats continue like as you got out of high school and as you got into like, your early adulthood?
So yes. However, I met my husband, and he had rescued this elderly pit bull, and off the road. And unfortunately, he didn't make it, but he was injured, and he was just so sweet despite, I mean, what he was going through. And so, anyways, he and his family had a pit bull and a chow. And so that's kind of where the love for dogs, because, I was always over there and, hanging out with them. And I just remember just that love was just so awesome. You know what I mean? It was something different, something I hadn't experienced before. And so then it just started to blossom. You know what I mean? And so fast forward, after we got married, well, we had our daughter. We did things a little backwards, but that's okay. So we had our daughter, and then we got married, and then we moved into our first place. And again, not knowledgeable about any of the shelters, anything about the pit bulls out, so many, and just everything going on. And so, anyways, we were in a pet store, and there was a sign up, and it said, pit bull puppies, come check them out. And so I remember telling my husband, I want to get a dog, and I would really like to get a pit bull. And he was like, absolutely. But let's make sure the time is right. You know what I mean? We just moved in. Our daughter is 4, and, he was working full time. I was an esthetician. So I kind of made my schedule, because clearly our daughter was 4, but she would go to grandma's a lot. So anyways, literally no joke, we drove right over. I mean, no, we made the phone call, and he was like, yep, there is 2 left. Come on over. Oh my gosh, Kate, it was absolutely crazy. So it was in a very bad neighborhood. And so anyways, we go in there, and I'm a little nervous. I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God. And so basically this is a typical situation that now I would cringe and, make sure to get those dogs out of there and I don't even know, but we would go into motion and figure something out, because this was a horrible situation. So anyways, we sat down, and the guy was like, yeah, $50. Which one do you want? There's this one. And then this other person came in. There was one left, and it was Lady. And she comes running up to me, and her little tail wagging, and I picked her up, and that was it. The rest is history. I fell in love. And my daughter at the time was with grandma. So like I said, this was on a whim, but hey, it happened. So we brought her home, and we went and picked up our daughter. And I remember my mom coming out, and she was like, is that a pit bull? And I said, it is. And she was like, you better get rid of that thing before my granddaughter comes home. And I said, I am not getting rid of this baby. We just saved her from, I don't even know what situation, but nope, that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyways, she actually kept Tatiana overnight. And, you know, finally, of course, what was she going to do? Hold our daughter hostage. She couldn't do that. But it took about 2 months before she came over and saw how much love and just how much we loved her. And to see Tatiana, our daughter, interact with her would have just blown your mind. It was the cutest thing. And again, I never experienced that. So just seeing and being a part of it was just incredible. So, we loved her dearly. However, like I said, we didn't have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we didn't really socialize her. You know what I mean? She was definitely inside and out. And she actually had a dog house. Okay.
Yeah.
And so like during the day, if we were gone, she would be outside in the dog house. And I just remember at about a year old, no, she was about 8 months old, and it was raining. And I remember my husband saying, you know, this isn't right. She cannot be outside. And I was like, but she has to be. I can't, you know, inside she makes a mess and she's destroying things. And I remember our daughter would be like, can she sleep with us? And I'd say, no, no. And so literally it started to rain. I brought her in, and that was the first day that honestly, she was never left outside again. I mean, I couldn't believe that I even thought to leave a puppy, I mean, a dog, let alone a puppy outside, you know? And they want to be part of the family.
Right.
They don't want to be outside.
Right.
And they want structure. They want discipline. I mean, it wasn't her fault she was destructive. She didn't know. She was bored.
Right.
So we started walking her. And back then, you know, the dog park was not as crazy as it is now. So we took her to the dog park, and I started to hear things like, ooh, that's a pit bull, you know, and, you know, them leaving the dog park. And even though she was super friendly, so I started to research and really do my research. And I became so knowledgeable. And I mean, they were the nanny dogs. And, you know, going from that to being, you know, so misunderstood, and literally people leaving the dog park, crossing the street, and telling me when we were walking with our daughter, she might just snap. She might just turn on you or your baby. I wouldn't trust her. And, you know, at that point in my life, I was just mean. I'd say whatever. Actually, I would say a lot, you know, not the nicest words. I should probably not say what I used to say. But anyways, and again, I just became more knowledgeable. And little by little, I just started to kind of educate people. And oh my God, it was awesome. It was amazing. And then unfortunately, at 6 years old, from running around so much and hiking and all of that, she had torn her ACL. And so we had taken her to a vet. And, you know, they said, okay, she needs surgery. So fast forward, we did the surgery, and then, she needed a second surgery. And so again, I didn't know as much as I know now. It was my first dog. And, you know I had talked to my parents about it, and they were like, that's a lot of surgeries, because it was literally 3 weeks apart. And so anyways, she underwent the second surgery, and unfortunately she became very sick, and I brought her home. Something wasn't right. She seemed just a lot sicker than her last surgery. And I get it, you know, in 3 weeks, having a second surgery, but I didn't know. I just wanted her to be better and whatever she needed. So we just kept going back to the vet, and they were, running all these other tests and, giving her antibiotics and whatever it is that she needed. And he just kept saying, well, you got to remember, she did have 2 surgeries. So just let her rest, let the medication, the pain meds and all of that. And after the 3rd day, I knew something just wasn't right. So we actually rushed her to an emergency vet that I had heard about. And basically there she ran, or he ran a bunch of tests. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go in and do a biopsy, like go see what is going on in the surgical site and maybe the rod or, whatever was put in. Let's see. And I got the worst news. He said to me, this rod was infected with staph. It was a dirty rod that was placed in. And the surgery was just a botch job. And that her whole body was infected with staph. He goes, we can try and do, a couple of things. But he said, at this point, she's really not, the chances of her recovering from this are very slim. And I just remember falling to the ground, and I was so upset, so sad, so many emotions. I couldn't quite understand what had just happened. And so here I was thinking I was doing a good thing, and it was just horrible. So, unfortunately, had to call my daughter or my husband, and he brought our daughter, and, we had to say goodbye. And it was the worst day of my life. I mean, she was 6 years old, 6 years young, I should say. And she was like the love of our lives. And she was my daughter's best friend. And it was just horrible. I mean, my daughter was 10 years old. So even though, it hurt her, but for me, it took me a long time to understand. And so we ended up suing. It took us 4 years. We did win. It was for a veterinarian malpractice. The guy did lose his license. Yay. And that was all great. However, it was never going to bring Lady back. So I knew I wanted to do something to carry on her legacy. And I was in such a depression, and we ended up rescuing, my daughter found this dog at the Downey shelter that looked very much like Lady. And of course, I was like, oh no, no more dogs, nothing, please. But here's my 10-year-old daughter. I wanted her to know that, life does move on, and we can't sit and be depressed. However, I truly was not ready. But how do you tell a 10-year-old that? And so my husband and her went to the shelter and literally dragged me. So they were like, no, you're coming. So I take that back. So they were like, we are going to the shelter as a family. And I stayed in the car, believe it or not. And they went and they rescued this little puppy. So anyways, we rescued Diamond, and from that point on, like I said, I wanted to make a difference. I saw how Diamond was so skinny and sick, and oh my God, she had to have so many vet trips because she was just in horrible shape. I didn't realize that the shelter doesn't have the means to do all the medical and really take care of them. It's just basically a holding spot. That's all. It's like a cell, like a jail cell. And so ended up going to the harbor shelter with my sister to go drop off towels and, just try to do some good. And we ended up coming home with this red-nosed pit bull that was jumping up and down, side to side, bloody paws, oh my God, she was in horrible shape. She was so stressed out. And from that point on, I said, you know what? holy cow, these dogs need us. And so it was like that. I mean, we rescued her, and that was our first Bullies and Buddies dog. And basically I knew I wanted to do primarily the bully breeds, but there was so many other type of dogs too. So I wanted to be a primarily pit bull rescue. So that's why it's Bullies and Buddies, because there's so many Chihuahuas and so many other dogs, but the most in the shelters are pit bulls and Chihuahuas. So I thought Bullies and Buddies would be a good name that was catchy and was actually a name of the dogs that we deal with.
Yeah. What a legacy that you're continuing for Lady and for all these other pups out there. And I think the story that you just shared about Lady, it's so true. I think for everybody who's ever had a pet, like it becomes a part of you, a part of your life, a part of your family.
Totally.
And there's a heartbreak that you go through when you lose a pet like that. And you know, I think some people, I was sharing with you before we started recording, knowing that there are so many people that have adopted animals, especially during COVID, people that had never really experienced that before. And it's so beautiful to see so many people experiencing that for the first time and getting to know these pups. So many of them have been through hell and back, you know, have been through so many difficult times. And, you know, what you shared too about pit bulls, I think they got such a bad name for all the different bad things that were going on, and people were training them to be bad, but all they really need is a chance, like all of us.
Right. Exactly. Don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, they're the most sensitive, most loyal and loving dogs ever. I mean, I've never met a more affectionate breed. And I have 2 littles and they love you, but there is nothing. I mean, these guys just want to kiss you all day, every day. Like when I tell somebody, you know, okay, are you okay with these dogs kissing you? Like literally, they want to be in your mouth. I mean, they have no idea. You're like, okay, all right, okay, that's a little much. I love you. But I mean, they cannot get close enough. And you know, 99% of the people are like, oh my God, that's what I love about them. And that's what I want. And then you have some, they're like, well, and so it's just like, okay, well then this isn't the breed for you.
Right.
And this isn't the dog for you, you know?
They're good protectors too. Like we had growing up, I had a German Shepherd, and German Shepherds kind of have a bad name as well, because they're like seen as police dogs and people were terrified. And he loved babies. Like we would joke all the time that like he would protect our house, but if anybody said the word baby or came in with a baby, they could take anything that they wanted from our house, because he would melt. Like this German Shepherd, this giant German Shepherd would just melt.
Totally.
And pit bulls are the same. It's like, here are these dogs that just, they have a soft spot. And once you figure out what it is, it's that game
over. Yeah, it's over. It's like, it's crazy. I always joke, you know, we have 3 pitties. And honestly, it's the littles that would be like, F you. They're like, hi, oh my God, what do you want? Oh my gosh, what do you need? Yeah, sure, the gold's over here. You know, but I don't want them. But, you know, honestly, of course, I want them to alert me and protect me. But I'm sure if it really came down to it that I was really being hurt or harmed, they would. Yeah. But it's not in their, it's just not them to be aggressive towards humans. You know what I mean? It's all this inbreeding that people are doing. You know, of course, like with any dog, if you don't socialize them, absolutely can they be aggressive? Yes. But that doesn't mean just a pit bull. You know, it's like any breed. You know, I was bit by a Labradoodle, you know, I mean, does that make the media headlines? No. So it's just like, you know, people really do your due diligence, educate, get to know one.
Right.
You know, I mean, oh my gosh, at our events, people would literally come to Rock and Brew to see our dogs and hang out with them and just get love. Or if they were having a bad day, and it just showed them in the best light. And that's what I loved. And people would go home and other people would come, hey, Sandy sent us here. And we'd be like, okay. They're like, oh my God, is that a pit bull? And I'm like, it is. But she's so friendly. I said, yeah, that's usually their nature. Yeah. And I said, this one was abused or whatever the story is. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, they're so resilient and so forgiving. And they get the worst like shit done to them.
Right.
I mean, they are so neglected and so abused. And it sucks because people think they're so tough. They're really big teddy bears. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I mean, don't get me wrong. They're a powerful breed and they need the structure. They need the love and they need the consistency in their life, just like us. If you're chained up in a backyard, you would be very mean.
Right.
And you didn't see anything other than a dark, cold wall. I mean, cement floor or wall. And it's just really, really sad how people think of them. But at the end of the day, they're my heart and soul. I mean, I wouldn't own any other breed. I mean, honestly, but again, you really have to do your research. It's like with any dog.
Right.
If you are interested in adopting, I mean, get the right breed for you. So that way they don't end up in the shelter or, we get that phone call that you can't handle them. You can't have them. They're barking too much or whatever the case is. But there's resources out there and training and all of that. And that's what we do. That's what Bullies and Buddies is.
Yeah. Well,
honestly.
You're changing the world. You're changing people's perspective.
mean, one dog at a time.
Right.
Yes.
And then those dogs are going and changing other people's perspectives.
Absolutely.
And that's what
it's a domino effect.
Right. That's what it takes. And even like you brought up Tia Torres at the beginning of this podcast episode, and even her show has opened up people's eyes to the fact that these dogs are resilient and they're not necessarily these fighter dogs. We need to train them. There is hope. There is light at the end.
There is hope. Absolutely. And again, they aren't for everybody, but then stop getting them and stop breeding them. We don't need any more.
Right.
It's like, come on, spay and neuter. That is key.
Mm-hmm. There's so many dogs right now that need to be adopted. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I know there are so many people that listen to this podcast that want to do something. They don't know how, but before we get into like how people can help, because I want to talk about that.
Yes.
Talk to me about Bullies and Buddies a little bit more. So you're going on 11 years.
Going on 11 years.
Congratulations.
I can't even believe
it. Amazing. That's amazing. Tell people who are listening what you do in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, what we do is we are, we take in owner surrenders. A lot of rescues don't, because it's a lot of crap to deal with. Because sometimes, you invest all this time trying to set up a foster or, whatever it is, a place, at least temporarily, till a foster opens up, because you don't want them to end up at the shelter. And all of a sudden they gave the dog away or they want to keep the dog. And so anyways, but we feel that, taking in owner surrenders, we get them before they end up in the shelter or in harm's way. And so we also take tons of dogs from the shelters as well and the streets. So we're kind of, we do all of that. And we are strictly foster based. So all of our dogs are in foster homes. So they are in, homes where they're getting lots of love and they're learning to be a dog and getting all of what they need. So that's what Bullies and Buddies does. We get the dogs, we have them evaluated and assessed, and even prior to being placed into a foster, because we need to know what type of foster home to place them in. And then from there, either they go to training, if it is, a case where they need socialization, they're fearful, whatever it is. And a lot of our fosters, which we are just so blessed to have because they are our gold. I mean, we couldn't do or be or where we are now without them. And they are literally that place right before their forever home. They build the foundation. So, anyways, like I do always, jumping the gun. So that's what we do is we take them, we have them evaluated, assessed, either placed with our trainer and then placed into a foster or straight into a foster. And then of course they are seen by our vet. And then whatever it is that's needed, we get that done. And then once we really get to know them, they're placed up for adoption. And then we are extremely picky on where our dogs go, just because they've already been through whatever. So we are very thorough with our application process, our home checks. And we love it because people become family and we're in touch with our adopters, and we love to see the progress and just how much these dogs have changed people's lives and how much these people have changed the dogs' lives. So it's just an incredible transformation, and we're just so proud. And we're just a smaller rescue as well. You know, we have between 8 to 15 dogs. And especially due to the pandemic, we lost a lot of donors, which is okay. You know, we'll build back up. And, you know, we're just very hands-on, and we don't adopt out of state, unfortunately, because if there ever was an issue, we are 100% committed to our dogs. So if need be, they can come back, you know, not just, you know, I mean, obviously we take our dogs back regardless, but, you know, we know life, sometimes there's just things that happen that are just out of our control. But for the most part, you know, it's like we've had dogs come back that it just sucks, you know, in the situations, which, you know, it's frustrating, but like I said, we're committed, and that's what counts, you know, and we're just a great team together. I mean, I love my team, and I'm just so blessed.
Yeah. I was just laughing because one of your pups jumped on the couch. People
Totally. I know. He's like, hi.
Licked you right in the face.
Yep. Totally. I know. Hi, Ace. I know. He's so good.
Jennifer, is there a story? I'm sure there are so many stories that you've so many experiences, so many stories you could point to when you think about the past almost 11 years of your work. But is there a story or two that you could share that really embodies the work that you do? Maybe a dog that a lot of people didn't have hope, or, you know, hope that there would be a future, or a dog that just changed somebody else's life. Is there a story or two you could
Absolutely. Share? I have two. So the first one, it's so crazy. We actually just shared him, just because during Christmas time, you know, we're in some tough times. So I thought it would bring a smile to everybody's face. So we shared him. So his name is Hercules. We rescued him, I think it was in 2015. And basically we got a phone call about a dog that was thrown from a car and just laying on the curb and not moving very much. And so he was a big pit bull. And so, you know, I think people were walking by just kind of like, oh God, oh my God. So at the time, one of our volunteers had heard a scream or something, and they had gone out. So they called. It was literally at 10 o'clock at night. And basically, we were like, oh my God, let's get him to the emergency vet. Let's see. So I met them at the vet, and our vet was like, oh my gosh, looks like he has a potentially broken neck. So we actually ambulanced him to our neurologist in Tustin, and where he was checked out, and he was like, well, it's up to you. It's a $10,000 surgery with a 1% chance. And we were like, hell yeah, let's do it. We want to give him a chance. And guess what? He made it out, and he is living the life. And his mommy adores him, could not imagine life without him. She is his best friend. He is her best friend. And that was 6 years ago. And he was kind of our poster child because, like I said, a 1% chance. I mean, what are the chances? And he came out, that's why he has the name Hercules, because he came out alive and he was walking the next day. Just incredible. So, you know what? Imagine we said no because of finances. We figured it out. We raised money. He was on, he was in the Daily Breeze. You know, they did a whole segment on, we have a news channel here. And, again, it was just incredible. And so great to have such an amazing neurosurgeon that performed the surgery. So that was Hercules. And then we have Wheels, our little spina bifida puppy that we rescued last year. And basically very similar. We got a phone call about a puppy that was not able to move, really walk. He was just scooting around and, was incontinent. And, it was like, wait, what's going on? He's 8 weeks old. And so we were scared. I'd never taken on a dog that couldn't have use of his legs, let alone incontinent. And so anyways, talked with my team. We were like, we got this. Let's do it. Let's save him. And so we did. And it was literally around Thanksgiving last year. And oh my God, it was scary, but it flowed. So we took him to the neurologist, and not our neurologist, because at the time he was on vacation. So we saw somebody else. And basically, this is the part that really was just heart-wrenching. She was like, oh, he doesn't have a good quality of life. You should probably think about euthanasia. And I remember I was with my volunteer and we looked at each other and we were like, he's happy. We're going to figure this out. We are not putting him down. No way. First we've got to exhaust all our options and really see what's going on. She was like, spina bifida, you're not going to find an adopter or somebody that's going to want him, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, fast forward. Oh my God. He changed so many people's minds. He has his own Instagram and, he was on the Dodo. He was featured on the Dodo.
Oh my gosh, I love that website or that.
Me too.
I watch all those, and I love.
He had over, no joke, 10 million people viewing.
Wow.
And still, it was very hard to place him. So, again, there wasn't a million people lined up to adopt this puppy. You know what I mean? He needed a very special home. We went through physical therapy. After that neurologist told us that, I was like, oh my God, we need to figure this out. And so we went and saw another neurologist. There was no surgery or anything, but, he didn't need to be euthanized. He could live a happy, healthy life in a wheelchair. We got him Wheels, and that's also where he got his name, Wheels. He was in diapers. He just, if there was any dog that inspired me, it was him. Honestly, he had such a zest for life, and I learned so much. I can't even tell you. I am so good now with special needs dogs and spina bifida and incontinence and all of that. So we found an incredible foster. She fostered him for almost 7 months. And a lady who had been following him was like, okay, wait a minute here. How is this dog still available? Maybe he's meant to be mine. And guess what? We did a meet and greet, and oh my God, it was literally a love connection. And she's a nurse. She's been a foster for many years for special needs dogs. And he is living the life. And yeah, he doesn't love his wheelchair anymore. He loves to scoot, but he could not be in a better home. And we are just so blessed to be part of his journey. And that's why I am so much more open to special needs dogs, but they do cost money. So it's like, that's why we're always like, the funds, it's not easy. And again, we got to give them 100%. So, but yeah, so that was Wheels, our special boy. And you could follow him on Insta, which is Wheels the Wonder Bully.
I'm going to make sure that I link that in. Of course,
you need
all of your social media. I will link it in the show notes. So anybody who's listening, can check that out and follow him. And of course, follow everything that you're doing. And I love both of those stories. And the first one that you shared about Hercules, I think it's so important for people to think about. So I live in Detroit, and driving around every once in a while, you'll see some random dog running around on the freeway. And this is so heartbreaking, but people need to know that this happens. People will just ditch dogs. They'll ditch them on the freeways.
Well, they're scared.
Right.
They don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Once they get them.
Right. Or, they'll leave them in abandoned houses. Like, they'll leave them all these different places. So dogs get left all the time. And I know there are a lot of rescues here in Detroit. And even, you have mentioned numerous rescues where there are all different reasons why dogs need to be rescued, but people need to know that kind of stuff happens. And so it's so important for people, if you're looking for a pet, don't go to the pet stores, don't go to the breeders, go to rescues. We need to rescue these animals. And then same with the special needs ones. My favorite dogs are the ones that have special needs, like the three dogs, or, anything that makes them special and unique. And I love those kind of dogs. So I'm just grateful that you shared those stories. And I hope that, I just hope that your work really opens people's eyes. And I'm sure that there's so many different, things that are difficult about your work. For me, I think if I were in your shoes and just as a regular person that follows, your page and so many other rescues, the most difficult thing for me is not to adopt every single dog that I see. Is that the most difficult thing about your work, or what is the most difficult thing?
No, I think the most difficult part is when we're too late, when we get the dog and, we get them to the vet and they're just too far gone. And unfortunately, we have to let them go. And that is so hard. It really is, because within even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one day, a week, whatever it is, we love them instantly. And it's just sad. It sucks. It really sucks. So I feel that's one of the hardest parts. And also, just not being able to save them all. There's just too many, having to adopt them all. No, I think, at least for myself, I know that it just wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to my dogs, and it wouldn't be fair to this dog, because I couldn't give them 100%, because running the rescue and my own babies. So of course my goal is to find them a home that can give them 100% and love them and give them everything that they need.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you're doing. And I think it's so incredible. Where do you go from here? So where does Bullies and Buddies go from here?
So in 2021, we have been really talking about a spay-neuter mobile. We are not even sure where to really start with that. I think everything has just, again, this new year, we've just taken on a lot of medical cases. So we need to really sit down and at our board meeting and really just see even how to start that, because that is the key. And that is the problem, is overpopulation, especially with the bully breeds. Too many pit bulls out there and nowhere for them to go. So it's very, very important to us to figure out something with that. So we're hoping to, maybe do a post, because all of that is going to be financially, somebody is going to have to sponsor, and we're going to need to get, a vet on board. So there's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle, but that is what we have been really thinking about actually over the years. But I think this year it really, it's really important to us. Yeah. So we'll see.
That's awesome. And you'll of course continue to do the work that you're doing.
Of course.
All the other things.
But absolutely. And advocate, educate, and just get out there and spread the word. It's harder now, but like you had mentioned, it's a domino effect. Hey, where did you get your dog? Your dog is so good and so sweet. Bullies and Buddies.
Yes. Yeah. We all have the power to change the world through our lives. And like every little thing that we do, whether it's donating a couple of dollars or even just following your pages and sharing. I know that one thing that I've been doing recently is sharing. Anytime I see a dog, if I know people in that area, whether it's in Detroit or if it's another state, like if I see people and know somebody that might be interested or might know somebody who's interested in adopting, I'll tag them in it. And there's so many things like that. We don't even have to spend money. Right. Tag and share. And of course, donate $1.
Right. But that is key. Sharing. That's key. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody has contacted us and, in our application, it says, where did you hear about Bullies and Buddies? My friend shared picture and I needed to reach out or the post or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, you just helped get this dog possibly adopted. Mm-hmm. So important. So important. Share, spread the word and just get involved. These dogs need you. And like you said, even if you don't have the money, you can't foster, you can't adopt, just spread the word, volunteer. I know times are different right now, but hopefully that's going to change. And, volunteers, fosters, key to our rescue.
There are so many little things that people can do. So just
absolutely
for people that are listening, they obviously can donate. They can follow you on all their pages. I will make sure to post all of your pages so people can follow you and share and donate. Because I know that you post whenever you need donations for different things so people can donate.
And you can be a monthly donor.
Oh, that's amazing. So
which is amazing. Even if it's $5 a month. You know what I mean? And I mean, I hate to say this, but if you needed to, you can cancel it. Right. But, it helps out. Every dollar adds up. Yeah. And we could save more lives together. Mm-hmm. It's all about doing this together. I'm not, without my team. Yeah, I am the founder, but without my team, I wouldn't be anything, honestly. I mean, I'm just so blessed for everybody and my family to be so supportive.
Yeah,
and involved.
It's an army. It's an art. Like it takes numerous people to make a difference. But yeah, so people can also like volunteer at their local shelters if they're in
totally.
They should reach out. I have a friend who regularly just goes to shelters and walks dogs. Like that's all she does.
Yes. Absolutely.
I never thought about that until I saw that she was doing it. So there's so many little things that people can do. And also, of course, foster dogs, adopt dogs. But is there anything else that people can do that I might have missed?
They could post flyers in their local, wherever. I don't know, it's different times. So, but oh my God, we would have designated, teenagers that we couldn't really have. They had to be 18 and older, unfortunately, because of our insurance, to actually sit and volunteer and handle the dogs, but they would still go and be our street team and go put up flyers. It was amazing.
That's so great. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, there's so many ways that people can get involved. And so I'll be sure to post your website and all of your social media links so people can follow and get involved in your work. And then, of course, locally, wherever they are, because I know we have listeners all over the country and even all over the world.
Yes.
So animal rescue is so important. But Jennifer, I'm just so grateful for all the work that you do. And I'm grateful for you coming on the podcast. Before I let you go, I always end this podcast with a question that I'd like to ask you. If you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
This is so important. If you have a vision or a passion, dream, go for it. Do not let anybody stand in your way, because you will make a difference in somebody's life.
You are such a light. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so honored to have you on this podcast to share your life and your story and your incredible work. But thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope this does bring some awareness, and I hope it gets people involved and, more interested in helping, even, in the community. These dogs need you. I mean, whatever your passion is, but honestly, because these animals, we're their voice. That's all they have. I mean, is us. So I hope people get more involved.
Yeah. Just on that note, somebody said to me recently, once you have to, you have a responsibility. And that's what I hope that this podcast episode will be for people that are listening, that we all have a responsibility to do any little thing that we can. There are so many issues, so many topics, so many needs in the world right now, but there are so many animals out there that need us and
totally. They need us.
So in any way that you can support your organization and a handful of other great organizations, please do it. And I feel like, Jennifer, we need to make a trip down to see Tia Torres and her new
let's go.
Her new place in Texas.
Yes.
That is now on my goals for 2021 or whenever we can do that.
Yes. So, let's do it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at One Girl Revo. That's the number one girl REVO. And you can find more information on One Girl Revolution at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number one girlrevolution.com.